You need to wake up.
5
We're all
more
set.
minutes. I only had 2.5 hours of sleep. The Halo Rise told me. I love to sleep. And then after I wake up, I love to know how well I slept. There's something oddly satisfying about after waking up on the wrong side of bed, feeling very grouchy and grumpy, and then looking at the app and it tells you, yeah, you sleep poorly last night. You deserve to feel grouchy and grumpy. I will have to admit that I have used Amazon's Halo Rise sleep tracker and the information it shows me on its app to get out of working or working out sometimes in the last few weeks. Amazon's Halo Rise is a bedside sleep tracker that doesn't have any cameras or microphones on board, and it'll actually detect your motion in bed to tell your breath rate and use that information to see if you've fallen asleep as well as what sleep zones you're in. It retails for $140, but you can very often find it for about $100 on Amazon. Of course, the Halo Rise is not the first sleep tracker. It's not even the first motion sensing bedside sleep tracker. I believe that might actually be Google's Nest Hub smart display. There's also things you wear on your body or bed sensors, but not only do I just absolutely hate wearing any gadget to bed, I also find the idea of installing a bed sensor or mattress a little too cumbersome. And between the two bedside sleep trackers, Google's version actually has a screen, so it just feels a little more disruptive, whereas Amazon's is fairly analog and therefore also quite elegant. It's also one of the latest of Amazon's health-oriented offerings that's related to tracking your health or well-being, in addition to the existing Halo band. And one more data point for the company on its reports it's definitely creating about you. With that in mind, if you're still keen to try it out, there are several good things about it. The Halo Rise is at least very easy to set up. It's not ugly, and since I already needed a bedside lamp and clock, I found it extremely helpful. There's no mic on board like I mentioned earlier, so there's no using the Alexa assistant unless you've connected it to a speaker or a smart display. I also had an issue with the fact that the two physical buttons on top of the Rise were just a little oddly designed for me. The snooze button is the bigger one, whereas the disable or dismiss button is a lot smaller and harder to hit. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm done snoozing and I just really want to dismiss the alarm, I actually hit snooze by accident and have to run back 10 minutes later when I'm brushing my teeth to actually disable the alarm that's ringing. So I've gotten into a new routine over the last few weeks. Basically now every morning after I wake up, I pick up my phone and instead of scrolling Instagram or like replying to my admirers, I look at the Halo app to see how well or how long I slept. The results actually show up almost instantaneously on the app, and even after I've set down my phone and rolled over for a couple more minutes of sleep, when I pick up my phone and look at the app again, the results actually refresh and update pretty quickly. Now, based on my experience in the last few weeks, I can say the Amazon Halo Rise is actually pretty accurate at knowing when I've fallen asleep and woken up. In fact, compared to the Nest Hub, which sometimes did not realize that I already left the bed, the Halo Rise is actually much more accurate. I can't say the same necessarily for the disruptions. So when it detects that I've been awake during my entire night of sleep, I don't remember being awake. In the middle it says I was awake, but I don't remember being awake. While Google's Nest Hub Max can actually track your daytime naps as well, Amazon's Halo Rise will only track your one long sleep session a day. So if you go back to bed after lunch for a nap, for example, it won't actually add that to your record. I will say there was one day after like a really long and intense week, I spent all of Saturday in bed. Maybe I woke up at like 9 or something, and then I, just stayed in bed scrolling my phone. 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. or so, I fell asleep again and woke up at 4 something. And because I was in bed this whole entire time, the Halo Rise actually tracked all of it, even that second nap. Don't judge me, okay? Sometimes you need to stay in bed all day, alright? Besides all of that, there are actually some real benefits to tracking your sleep as well as your sleep environment, and the Halo Rise actually does this pretty well. Not only did it tell me about, the zones of sleep I'm in, whether I've spent more time in REM and light or deep, it also said whether my room was too warm or too cold. I actually found it tremendously helpful. During the summer, I often can't fall asleep very well because I'm sweating through my sheets, and I refuse to turn on the AC because I'm a stingy person. And then while I was using the Halo Rise, after a while it would tell me that, hey, your bedroom's actually a lot warmer than the recommended range of 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Seeing that made me realize I was trying to save money in exchange for good sleep. And so I started turning on the AC every night to cool my room down, and I've actually never slept better. There are a few other things it tracks, for example, the amount of light in your room throughout the night and sometimes morning, and the humidity. I'm someone that suffers from coughing fits when the air is a little too dry, so knowing exactly how humid it is in my room does help with this a lot. So these metrics are all very helpful for helping you get a good night's sleep. And if you're even more invested in understanding how well you sleep due to different environmental factors or your own diet and stuff like that, you can track that as well. For example, our head of video, Brian, has been using the Halo Rise to see if changing out the amount of wine or alcohol he consumes actually affects the amount of time he stays asleep. As for me, my current goal is to try to get way more deep sleep because it seems like I spend more time in light sleep or I dream a lot and just I don't feel as rested as I can be. Now, because it knows what sleep stages you might be in, the Halo Rise can also try to wake you up at a more appropriate moment. You can actually tell it what time or sort of what range or window of time you want to be woken up, and it will kind of guess when you're in your lightest stage of sleep, and then during that window, find that zone and then wake you up then. You can also get the lights on the face of the Halo Rise to simulate a gradual sunrise so you don't, again, get jolted awake by lights blinding your retina through your eyelids. This is probably more helpful for someone who sleeps in a dark or darkened environment with blackout curtains like Brian, but for me, my room just gets bright with the sunrise anyway, so I didn't find it that obvious. The Halo app can also help you with movement, mobility, strength, and posture assessments. It will also do, through your phone, body composition scanning, which I have found to be highly inaccurate, but that's a topic for another time. If you have the Amazon Halo band, you could also use it to try out the controversial tone monitoring feature. When it hears in your voice that you're stressed out, it'll be like, hey, chill. And this paints a very interesting picture of the idea of holistic health that Amazon is trying to sell here. It's telling you it's not just about fitness, it's not just about the number of steps or miles or calories burned every day, it's also about your sleep. It's also about your posture. It's also about maybe your emotions. And Amazon's approach here is very unique. We haven't seen any other company cast as wide a net yet, especially when you remember that Amazon also launched in 2020 its own pharmacy, as well as recently it acquired or finished acquiring One Medical, which means it owns a healthcare provider now. It's wild! Does Amazon want to be your one-stop shop for all your health and wellness needs? Because if so, that's all of us. And that is actually kind of scary. So for better or worse, the Halo Rise, and I guess Amazon, is now an important part of my morning routine. For more in-depth reviews on sleep trackers, health devices, and more, make sure you subscribe to Engadget. Until next time, sleep well.